Hidden from the world for decades, a forgotten war left scars that remain to this day.
There's this one country in Asia that you probably haven't heard about, and I bet your geography teacher never mentioned it either. This country is small, landlocked between Thailand, Cambodia, Vietnam, and China. It has lush green mountains, stunning caves, and over 6 million people. But what really makes Laos special are its ancient temples and its war history. When I was in high school, I used to spend hours reading about the jungles of Vietnam, where Americans went missing and never came back. And all that time, I never once thought that there was a secret war happening just next door. In fact, I'm pretty sure most people don't know that from 1964 to 1973, Laos was one of America's main battlegrounds during the Vietnam War. Over 2 million U.S. bombs were dropped on Laos soil. The U.S. military built over 200 highly sophisticated bases in the country, which were manned by 65,000 troops at their peak. And an estimated 20 to 30,000 Laotians lost their lives in the conflict. Yet somehow the world forgot about this forgotten war. So in today's episode, we will look at how America's secret war in Laos led to the creation of the largest bomb crater on Earth. We'll start off by looking at the role that Laos played in the Vietnam War. As soon as the U.S. got involved in Vietnam in the mid-1960s, they knew that they needed allies on the ground to help them out, so they found some, well, sort of. There was this secret society called the Manda, which consisted of hill tribe warriors who lived in northern Laos. For decades, these warriors had been defending their villages against outside forces, and the U.S. saw an opportunity to use them as proxies in the war. General William Westmoreland, who was the commander of American forces in Vietnam, believed that if he could establish a supply route through Laos, he could deliver much-needed supplies and reinforcements to American troops in the north. So in 1964, Operation Barrel Roll was launched, which trained, armed, and paid the Hmong to attack the communist forces in Laos and create a supply line through the country. Soon enough, the U.S. had built over 200 bases throughout Laos, which were mostly situated on top of mountains to defend against incoming attacks. These bases became home to 65,000 American troops at their peak, and the war quickly escalated. By 1968, there were over 200 communist troops fighting against the Americans in Laos. And the longer the war dragged on, the more casualties both sides suffered. As the war progressed, things started to get a little messy. American pilots began accidentally bombing villages that they didn't know were there. And in response, the Laotian government started making up false reports about communist activity in order to keep getting supplies from the U.S. It got so bad that at one point, there were more supplies flowing into Laos than actually being used in the war. In 1973, peace talks were held in Paris, and eventually, the U.S. agreed to stop bombing Laos and withdraw its troops from the country. But by then, it was too late. Over 2 million bombs had already been dropped on Laos, killing an estimated 20 to 30,000 people. And as the Americans left, the communists took over and established a new government. But one of those bombs didn't go off. In 1970, an American C-130 transport plane was flying over Laos when it was hit by a surface-to-air missile. The plane went down and crashed into a mountain, but it didn't explode. The crash site remained hidden until 1989 when a team of American scientists located it. Since then, the bomb has been transported to this clearing where you can see it today. While researching for this episode, I learned about a man named Jim Morrill, who was a medic during the war. He treated many wounded soldiers and also helped smuggle wounded Laotians out of the jungle. In his interviews, he talks about how the war wasn't as clear-cut as good versus evil. Instead, there were a lot of good and bad people on both sides. I think this bomb crater is a great metaphor for the legacy of the war. It's big, it's deep, and it's full of unexploded bombs. Just like Laos itself. The war may be over, but its effects are still felt today. The bomb crater that I told you about earlier is the largest man-made crater on Earth. It's located near the town of Xinquang and is over 1 kilometer wide. When I visited, I couldn't believe how massive it was. It's hard to comprehend that something so big can exist in such a small country. In fact, Laos is one of the most bombed countries on Earth, with over 80 million unexploded bombs still remaining. That's why if you look around the countryside, you will see lots of warning signs about potential dangers. The bombs are so dangerous that special teams have to be called in before anyone can do anything. That's how deadly they are. In addition to the bombs, there are also thousands of people who suffer from injuries related to the war. Many of them are children who were born with birth defects because their parents were exposed to Agent Orange, which is a herbicide that the U.S. used to destroy jungle cover. All this makes Laos a very difficult place to live in. People are afraid to go into the jungle because they might step on a bomb or be attacked by Viet Cong soldiers. They also don't know what's in the water or the food. And because of all this fear, Laos is one of the poorest countries in Southeast Asia. The average person only makes about $1,000 a year. And there are almost no jobs or opportunities for young people. And yet, the people of Laos are some of the happiest people that I have ever met. When I traveled around the country, I was always welcomed with open arms. No matter where I went, people were smiling and laughing. And even though they don't have much money, they always shared what they had with me. One time I was walking through the jungle and I saw this family who was eating. They invited me to join them and they gave me food and water. Even though they didn't have much themselves, they were still willing to share with a stranger. Another time I went to a village and I asked a woman if I could take her picture. She said yes, but then she asked me to take a picture of her family as well. After I took the photos, I gave them to her, and she was so happy that she started crying. It was just a simple gesture, but it meant a lot to her. I think the people of Laos are so strong because they have been through a lot. They have dealt with years of war and poverty, but they have never given up hope. They are still optimistic about the future, and they are working hard to rebuild their country. I am so grateful that I had the chance to meet them and learn about their culture. I will never forget the kindness and hospitality that they showed me. If you want to know more about this amazing country, I recommend that you watch this video next. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.